guy on Adam. Weight Slammer. I think if I remember correct, he's out of California. So hey, good evening, I guess. It's past a little past 5 o'clock here in San Antonio. I'm here with my buddy, best friend from. Since we were kids, we grew up together and we got started in real estate investing together. So we kind of wanted to share. I wanted to share at least how I got started. He got started before I did. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. We'll try to answer, based on what we know. But I don't know, Adam, you want to go ahead and kind of tell your story, how you got started with your real estate investing, your journey as a real estate agent. I know you're military, so kind of talk about that.
Yeah, well, kind of like your story. I did 20 years in the military, in the Air Force, and the whole time I always wanted to get in investing, and I had, but never had saved up enough money, or just scared to jump in there and to something you know nothing about. So I got stationed here in San Antonio like in 2005. And that's actually, believe it or not, when I bought my first house. So I started looking at houses, and then I wanted to buy a foreclosure. Ended up buying a new home. But afterwards, I still got, just started looking at real estate. I had a couple of friends that were in real estate, and they told me I was about to retire as well. And they're like, hey, you should do real estate. And I'm like, I didn't really want to go back to school. And when they told me that it only takes a couple of classes to get your license, I went ahead and did that. Once I got my license, I started looking at foreclosures, kind of like how we met.
Yeah.
And just went from there.
So hopefully you guys can hear me. Weight Slammer, can you hear us just fine? Can you hear Adam talking? Hoping everybody can hear us clearly. May have to speak out a little louder, but. So Adam just kind of talked about he was retired. He's retired military, served 20 years in the United States Air Force. Thank you for your service, Adam. Then he got some interest in real estate investing, talked to some other friends that he knew, and then so your first property, did you buy it? Was this kind of something you moved into and then made it into a property? What was the story behind that?
Yeah, kind of like what I was talking about earlier about one of your viewers asked the question whether is it a good idea to buy and move in or buy and rent or whatnot. Well, at the time, I ended up, I already had a house I had just bought new, and I was renting rooms. Actually, I was single.
House hacking,
yeah.
Nice.
So I had 2 rooms rented out, and then my brother, he was going to move into town, and I said, hey, me and my brother actually went halves on a deal. So we ended up buying a HUD foreclosure. We ended up moving into that, and I was just learning, so I think I'm on the deal. Me and my brother split like $10,000 each.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't make that much, but it was just a learning process. So it was a good start. We lived in there for 2 years. We rented it out for another 4 or 5 years.
Were you a real estate agent then, or not quite?
At the time I bought that house, I was, right. When I first bought my house, I wasn't. They got my real estate license afterwards, and at that point I was.
Okay.
Actually, we had that. We rented it out, then we sold it. We had moved into another one. Me and my brother went halves on it again. Learning from the first deal, on the second deal, we actually bought it. We went into that house with $35,000 equity.
Nice.
And that actually grew another $30,000 equity in the 3 years we were in it. And my brother, he was tired of house hopping, and he ended up buying his own foreclosure. Mm-hmm. And he bought a little townhome actually. And at first he was all against it. He's like, I don't want neighbors, I don't want this. Man, it ended up being he loved it. It was a townhome, and it had a 2-car garage. They took care of all the lawn work and stuff, and he loved it. He bought it for like $85,000 up on the north side of town, and he ended up selling it for $150,000 about 3 years later. So he made a nice little profit on that.
So let me make sure. So you bought a house, but you were not an agent at the time, right? When you first.
My first property.
Okay, yeah. But you used another agent. You brought a property. Was that a market value home? Was that a foreclosure?
That was a brand new
build.
Brand new build. That was my first purchase ever.
Okay.
I was again. I was looking. I was kind of interested in investing in foreclosures, but a buddy of mine, also military, he lived in this neighborhood, and he was like, "Hey, they've got a couple of for you guys in real estate, you know, speculation homes or deal fell through homes.
Right.
This was a speculation home. The builder builds houses on speculation that by the time they finish building it, it'll sell. And if it doesn't sell, they usually discount it a significant amount. So I ended up getting a new home at a significant discount. So
okay, good.
It was kind of worth it.
So you bought that house. It was not a foreclosure. It was a new build. Then you house hacked for, you said 2 years?
Yeah, about 2-3 years.
2-3 years. You house hacked, and then you turn around and you rent it out for how much longer?
I rented it out for about, I would say 4 or 5 more years.
4 or 5 years. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So hey, so that's, you know, there's a lot of folks out there that are always kind of asking and wondering, how can I get started? I really don't have a lot of money down. Do you remember, Adam, where in that house that you bought, did you go conventional, 20% down, 10% down? Was it an FHA? Do you remember that?
Yeah, actually, I do. I was, again, it was my first purchase, so being military, I went VA.
VA, 0% down. Man, that's such a great strategy. There's a friend of mine that I interviewed last week on the last week's podcast, and he's a veteran as well. Same thing. He bought his first house. It was a VA loan, 0% down, and he lived in it a little over a year, I think he said. And now it's an investment property, and he's cash flowing. He's building equity. He's getting the tax breaks. He's also getting the loan paid down by his tenants. So, man, that's a great job. You know, a lot of guys are out there, or a lot of individuals out there that are trying to get started in real estate investing. They're asking, hey, how can I get started? I really don't have a lot of money down. Now, obviously, to get a VA loan, you have to be military, so you have to have that benefit. There's also a USDA loan, right? There's a USDA loan. There's also a program out there, a lending program that allows you to get into a house that's 0% down. So, okay, so you get that house, you house hack it for 2 to 3 years, then you rent it another 2 to 3 years or so?
Right.
And then you sold it, or what'd you do?
Well, actually, right. Me and my brother had bought that other foreclosure, and we ended up selling that foreclosure. Like I said, that was our first foreclosure. We got about, like I said, $10,000 each profit on top of the principal or equity that we put into it. And then we bought another foreclosure where we picked up about $35,000 on the time of purchase. So that was another $17,000 each. So now, at that time is when I went ahead and sold my other property because my renter moved out. Okay. And
so you sold that first house you bought. You sold it,
correct?
And I'm sure you probably had a lot of equity by then, with loan pay down, appreciation, time, and all that good stuff, right?
Right. It was. I mean, at the time, 10 years ago.
Okay.
So the houses were fairly a lot cheaper than they are right now. I think I had gotten it for like $100,000, and it actually sold for $150,000.
Wow.
And
$50,000.
Yeah, and that's just the appreciation value. That's not including the pay down that we put into it. Right?
Yeah, the loan pay down. I mean, I know you said you house hacked, so somebody else with that, using that strategy, paid down probably the majority, if not all of your mortgage to begin with, right?
Right. They actually, because I actually got a 15-year loan, so they were actually paying. I think I was paying on every monthly payment. I was actually putting $400 extra towards principal.
Okay.
And then they were again paying. I think my mortgage was $800, and they were paying that. So I was using my share of it just to.
Okay, so your tenants, your roommates' tenants, they were paying all of your mortgage.
All of it, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Such a great strategy. That's definitely something that if you're looking to get started, that's definitely a good strategy to use. So somebody is paying for your mortgage. You're putting a little extra money down because you just want to, and you want to try to pay it off as quick as possible. And then you're benefiting from the appreciation. You're benefiting from somebody else paying the loan in addition to the extra that you make. And then about, I guess, 5 years plus, you turn around, sell it. You take that equity, and now, I don't know if you use that equity for the next foreclosure.
Exactly.
Right? That you and your brother bought.
Yep. And then I got married in the meantime, so a lot of it went toward the wedding ring and expenses.
Oh yeah, I know how that
Everybody
goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you bought that foreclosure, and do you still own that, or have you sold that since?
The first one, like I mentioned, me and my brother sold that. The second one, me and my brother, when he bought his foreclosure.
So hold on. So you say you and your brother sold it. So was that kind of like a fix and flip, so to speak? Or was it long term or short term?
It was more. It was kind of. He wanted to pay off some bills.
So you're trying to get quick money or something?
For him, right?
Yeah.
I've been blessed. I'm financially set, so I didn't need the money.
But he wanted a quick turnaround.
He wanted. He was indifferent, but I was thinking, okay, well, if you want, we can sell it so you can pay off all your bills, this truck, whatever, and then I have a thing where when I retired, I wanted to move from house to house and then live in it while I fix it, and then once it's ready to go, just put a sign for sale on it, and if someone gives me the number I want, move to the next one.
Yeah.
Because
man, I love that strategy. I got a client. His name's Nick, and we are closing on a property this coming week where he's using exactly that strategy you're talking about. I call it the move-in flip. I think that's probably what kind of the coin term to it. Move-in flip. It's a foreclosure, so he's buying with a lot of equity, somewhere between $40,000 to $50,000 worth of equity. He's buying into it. He's gonna move into it. He's gonna live in it for at least a couple years. His plans are after that, turn around, sell it, take that capital gains, and because that it will be his primary home, not a CPA, but my understanding is the capital gains tax is completely 100% free, up to $250,000 in his case because he's a single guy. Married, I think it's up to $500,000. Again, I'm not a CPA, but I think I'm pretty correct on that strategy. So okay, so you buy that foreclosure. Did you guys turn around and sell it fairly quick?
Yeah, it actually within a month we got an offer. And
did you have to do any work to it or anything?
Well, actually, if we would have probably gained another $15,000, but he's not that handy, and neither am I. So we kind of didn't know contractors, and like you said in your video, very important to build up a team,
right?
And that's another advantage, that if you move into it, you can kind of fix what you can, and if you don't know about it, you can hire someone, or just understand that you're not going to make as much money. Because like I said, if we could have fixed certain things, painted, I mean, simple stuff that I know now, we could have spent $5,000, made an extra $10,000-15,000.
Okay, but you still made money, I'm assuming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it sounds like what I'm hearing you say. It's kind of sounding like almost a wholesale type of deal, where you bought it, maybe you didn't do a whole lot to it, turned around, sold it for a profit a month later.
Correct. Well, we were in it for about 2 years. So.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
did you live in it?
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
So you lived in it for 2 years. Okay, so now you get the benefit of the long-term capital gains tax versus the short-term, and the fact that you lived in it, so probably tax-free at that point. Okay, great. So you sold that one, and then did you get another one after that?
Right. Then we moved into another foreclosure. That's the one I was saying we picked up about 35,000 equity in it.
Okay.
And since then we picked up another 30. I actually bought him out of that one when he bought. He was tired of moving. So I told him, fine, I'll buy you out of this one, so that and he bought that townhome I was telling you about. He got that foreclosure, great deal himself. And I bought him out of my half of the house, of his half of the house we had, and we kind of moved our own ways. So, but just recently, like I said, he sold his. He made a very good profit again, paid off all his bills again.
Yeah,
that he wrecked up, and he's actually. I tried to get him to buy another foreclosure. I mean, because at the time of he ended up renting for a year or two. He kind of wants to settle down, and
so he was done.
Yeah. Well, he wants a he's doesn't want to be rushed on anything, so he's kind of has a different mentality, which is cool.
Yeah.
So he'll be looking for in about another year for something.
Okay, so that house, do you still own it today? The one you bought?
I actually do.
Okay.
Yep, I have a renter, and he's we got like me and you were talking earlier. We love to help people out. We're making money, but so again, I'm not. It's a deal you probably never hear about again, and
right.
Most investors are like, "You're dumb," but again, it's just the people we are.
It's about helping others as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was a renter of mine, and he didn't have the credit. So at the time that I bought this foreclosure, me and my brother, we bought it at 136. It was worth about 160. It was about 160. Well, I made a deal with him where I told him I would sell it to him for 175, and but basically he handles all the expenses of maintaining the house and stuff like that, and just keeps current payment.
Right. And he's been there for a while now, right?
He's been there about 5 years now. Yep. So the good thing about it, and I'm actually about to refinance, because he told me at the time he was only going to rent for 2 years, and then he was going to, hopefully his credit was good. Hasn't been as of yet, but luckily, I mean, he's employed and he keeps paying the payment, so so I'm okay with it, because every time he's making a payment, I think I'm picking up about $400 on principal. Plus, I don't have to worry about any maintenance.
Right. So, here, man, that's such a great strategy. I like the fact that, so you got a foreclosure, so you got it at a discount from day one, all right? You lived in it for a couple years at least. Now you got a renter in there. That renter is paying down your loan, right? So you're cash flowing. You're getting the tax benefits, right?
I won't get the tax benefits because I've already been out of the house for the 5 years, so I won't get that. I'll get the long-term capital gains, but I won't get the tax benefit.
But you are you depreciating the house? Are you also deducting the tax benefits, or not the tax benefits? I'm sorry, but the property taxes on the house when you file your income tax.
Right.
That's what I meant from the tax benefits. So he's benefiting on tax benefits. He's getting somebody else to pay his loan down. He's already got it pretty much sold at a set price. And he's got somebody in there taking care of all the maintenance, taking care of all the expenses. So, man, it's just a waiting game at this point, it sounds like.
Right.
Until he decides to go ahead and get it refinanced.
Under his name.
And get it completely under his name. So you got that house, but then tell us about the next property.
Well, like I say, once you start buying foreclosures, it's kind of addicting. So, during the time, I think I mentioned, so one of the houses paid for a wedding ring and all this stuff. Between that deal and my next deal, my next foreclosure, I had been dating my wife at the time, maybe about 3 months, 6 months, and she used to live on the east side of town, and I was on the west side of town. Anyone in San Antonio knows that's about an hour's drive.
Yeah.
So it was just a lot of driving for each of us to see each other. So I told her, I was like, because she was kind of, what if it doesn't work out? I told her, you know what, let's buy a house together. I'll rent mine, you rent yours, sell yours, whatever, and we'll buy it. We'll buy a foreclosure, I'm telling you, because we're going to get a good deal, or the best deal out there pretty much. And then if it doesn't work out, we'll sell it, split the profits. But if it works out, and thank God we're still together. We have a beautiful 3.5-year-old, and so far it's been
and
awesome.
That's the house you live in right now?
That's in the house that we actually have under contract right now, because I'm selling it, and we just bought another foreclosure.
Wow.
Or under contract.
Wow. Okay, man, the power of investing in foreclosures, real estate, being smart with your money, and then always looking for that next opportunity. That is so important, and that's what builds wealth. Man, great job on that.
And one point about it, the helping people too. That renter that I have in my property, I set a limit on that house that I bought, that I was selling it to him for 175.
Okay.
Again, so I bought it for like 135. So
That's 40.
Right.
40,000.
40,000 plus. He's in the 5 years he's paid it down to, like, I think last I looked was like 112 or so.
Okay.
So well, we were in there a couple of years too, but since then that house has appreciated. So whatever he gets above 175, he's actually going to be in good shape too.
So it's a win-win.
Exactly. Right now, I think the property is going for about 220. So he's actually got $40,000 equity staying
Right.
there.
Because so the agreement was, hey, this is a set price, 175.
Yep.
Any appreciation this property gets, that's your benefit.
Exactly.
But you're getting the benefit by him paying down the loan for you, and then when it comes to the point where he's going to refinance, you're going to have all that equity, and then he's going to have that equity.
Right.
Man.
And again, I don't. That's. I mean, people helping people.
Yes.
If you're doing the straight out investment, of course you don't recommend that because you're leaving a lot of money on the table. That's $40,000. But I don't look at it that way. I look
Right. By helping others.
Right.
Man, I'm happy to hear you say that because I think that's so important. A lot of times people get caught up in just trying to make that next dollar, and it sounds like you and I try to practice that as well. It's not just about the next dollar. Obviously, that's important. That's why we're in business. We're in business to make money, make profit, and build our wealth. But at the same time, if we can help others, like in your case, you're helping somebody by, even though they're technically quote unquote renting from you, they're getting a benefit. They're getting a benefit because the appreciation is increasing and the value of that home is increasing. So when the time comes that they refinance at that 175 and this house is worth 220, they might not have to pay any money down. I don't know. That's a lending question. That's something they have to talk to the lender about. But the good thing is that they are already gonna have equity from day one.
Or if they end up selling, I told them same thing. I was like, if you sell it for 220, once I net my 175, the rest is yours. I was like, so
yeah, wow, such a great thing. And so, hey guys, I'm glad to hear Adam talk about that because it's so important that it's not just about making money; it's about helping others. And I'm a firm believer when you start helping others, things are going to go your way. You're going to benefit from that, from just in general and overall. So okay, so you did that with your tenant, the guy that's currently in there. You bought that other foreclosure.
Me and the wife. Yep.
But obviously, I know because I know you. You got another story you want to add to it. What's that next property?
Okay, well the next
that you got pending.
Okay, well that was again me and my fiance at the time. We moved in together.
Right.
We bought a property that worked out. It was a foreclosure. We bought it in the north side of town, which is a little nicer part of town here. And at the time, we didn't know we were going to get there. I told her when we were engaged or dating, I told her we're going to, so that it works, I'm going to look for the best deal financially out there. So I don't know if it's going to be where it's going to be. But if the numbers are good, and that's what happened, we just so happened that it was in an awesome school district for her kids. And it just turned out great. We bought it maybe about 4 years ago, going on 5 years ago. Same thing, it needed some work. We've done a little bit, floors, paint. We didn't go in there and do, like I said, I'm still kind of lazy. Don't do all the work I should, because the houses they're selling for if we had fixed it up, we're looking at about $120,000, $110,000. I think I talked to you about it. Maybe one halves on the repairs.
Right.
It would have been about $110,000 profit. Ended up a friend of mine, again helping friends. He's looking for a house, and the house is appraised at $260,000, and I'm actually selling it to him for $240,000. So I told him, look, yeah, exactly. I like, there's $20,000 equity for you, so you can use that to fix your house, and you don't have to. You can fix it as you go on.
Yeah.
A couple of benefits. He gets the house $20,000 cheaper than the going market. Plus, every $10,000 is about $60 on your mortgage payment. So he's saving about $120 a month on his on what he would have been paying if he would have paid $270. So not along with the $20,000. He gets that little savings.
So it's man, that kind of reminds me of something. When it comes to real estate, when it comes to real estate investing or just acquiring real estate in general, being creative. Your buyers are very fortunate and very lucky that you have that creative mindset because they're able to acquire properties with equity right off the bat, and then plus you're giving them a lot of options and a lot of latitude to be able to get their, whether it's going to be a primary home for them, whether it's going to be an investment home, whatever it is that their goal is, they're at least getting an opportunity to acquire that next property.
Right. I always joke with them also. I always tell them, I'm a realtor. If you want to go buy a new house, I'll make more commission.
Yeah.
I'll go find you a new house.
Yeah. So again, that goes back to, hey, you're not necessarily in it for that next dollar. You know, you're in it to help others as well. That's just as important as making that next dollar, because that next dollar is going to come, regardless. It's going to come. So great. And so you're right now pending the next purchase, right?
Right. So I'm pending this sale. Like I said, I think I'll net about I think around $90,000 profit. So that's about 4.5 years. The next house that we're getting is it's if anyone knows San Antonio, it's by the TPC Marriott.
Yes. 281 North.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, real nice area, and it's like in a condo community. And property we got is valued around $425,000, and I had been keeping an eye on it. It was a little bit too much for us at that time, but it was listed at $377, so it already had about $50,000 equity as is.
Okay.
But I mean, the HOA fees were high, and taxes are high in that area. So I was like, oh, I'm retired. I don't know if I want to like.
Right.
So I kept an eye on it. They dropped it. It was a foreclosure. So every month, if it doesn't sell, some foreclosure websites they drop it a certain amount. So this house, they dropped it from $377 to $351. Then they dropped it from $351 to $337, and from $337 to $321. At that point, I told my wife, I was like, "You remember the house you really, really loved?
Let's do it.
I was like, let's go look at it." And we looked at it. She fell in love with it. So I was like, "You know what? If it gets down to $300, we'll do something." And so we put in an offer $300. They came back, said, "No, we'll do $319." And I wrote the listing agent a thank you letter saying thank you for looking at our offer. But at this point, we're really, my client, my wife is she got it under her name, is looking to be under 300, and he actually submitted, and this is a good agent also, he actually submitted my letter to the REO agent, I guess, and they came back in about 2 days later and said they actually countered their counter and said, you know what, we'll take 305. Okay. So at that point, I mean, we've got 120,000 equity. We just had to move, and it was ready to move in.
So Adam, before we continue on, you just said a term that probably a lot of people don't know out there. You said REO. What does that mean?
That's real estate owned. That's again, my understanding. We're not experts,
right?
But it's basically a foreclosure
owned by the bank.
Right. The county courthouse steps, right? Foreclosures. Well, guess what? The banks actually own the loans to those houses. Right. They go to the courthouse and they get a bid. If that bid isn't sufficient enough or an amount that the bank wants, the bank won't sell it. It'll go back to their possession. Right. Now it's REO, real estate owned.
Okay.
And they actually hire a realtor to list it as a foreclosure, which, and I mean, we can talk about that later, because I actually like those better than the courthouse, because you don't waste your time looking at all these properties and then go to the courthouse and have to fight 20, 30 people, other
investors, or
5 of them which are millionaires and got a lot more money. Once it's on the real estate owned side, it's actually on your local MLS and as a foreclosure. So the price, that's what it is. That you can try to bid lower like we did, or you can wait every month. They lower it, so you've got
And I think a lot of times, and I don't know, I haven't gotten to that point, but I think a lot of times when you go to the local courthouse to buy these properties, you got to have cash. That's
right. That's another thing. Exactly.
Yeah, you got to have cash.
Have the financing.
Right, and then you're competing against other investors, so that obviously can drive up the price as well.
And my rookie investors, I would always have rookie investors, and they always tell me about that. And I don't want to be the realtor that's like, no, that's no good, because I heard it a lot when I was starting. I would have agents. I was looking for foreclosure. Oh, you don't want to mess with that because there's too much trouble. It's too much paperwork. You don't know what you're getting. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, that's not true. Now that I'm in the game, I actually know that's not true. So it was the fact that they didn't know how to proceed, but so I went to the courthouse and I learned the system, and it's a very easy system if you got the money. But like with my first investor, 10 properties, because they're listed in that book, or you can go on auction.com, and it's a third party, but they're selling basically the foreclosures on the courthouse. You go and research that, and you look at my first investor, it was a friend of mine again. We looked at 10 properties, and those were the ones he wanted to bid on. But when we get there, 3 of those properties, I guess the people paid off, so they're not there no more. The other 6, they didn't even go to market. The one finally he did bid on, he got the highest price, but the bank didn't accept it because it was lower than their amount that they wanted. So it was a wasted time for me showing them all those 10 houses, and evaluating them and giving the comps, and then it was just a big waste of time.
Big waste of time. Okay.
Yeah. So and there's some times where you actually, again, they have that house that he bid on, then went on the foreclosure market, and then it didn't sell for about 6 months, and it actually went lower than what he actually bid on the courthouse. So he actually got it cheaper. So you never know.
We got another viewer, Precious Pineapple. Saludos. Saludos.
Oh, I thought that was my daughter.
Oh, sí es.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Precious. But yeah, and I don't know. I just heard you say that you showed the properties, but I'd also heard sometimes when it comes to like properties that are auction.com, sometimes you're not allowed to go look at them, at least on the inside. You may be able to drive by them, but that's about it. And then sometimes, don't they have like actual people in there?
Yep.
You got to deal with the eviction process.
Right.
Okay.
So that's I don't discourage my clients and by telling them, no, you don't want to waste your time. I actually tell them about the Tuesdays, and I tell them about the whole process. And if they want to pursue it that way, then again, but I don't want to be the one that's saying no, because I don't know how to do it. I learned how to do it, and I see the advantages and disadvantages. If you've got a lot of money in cash, then that might be an advantage for you. But if you're starting off and you need to get a conventional loan, or you're going to have to go FHA, then you definitely want to stay away from that. You're wasting your time. So.
All right, folks. So Adam just kind of gave a quick rundown about his story, about his properties, how he got started. He's a retired military. He got his real estate license. He's been a real estate agent for at least 10 years that I know of, right?
Since
12 years. 11 years? 11 years.
Getting too old.
Yeah, because I remember when I bought my first house, it was 2008. You were in the process of getting your license. I think you got it soon after that. So 09 you said?
Yep.
So 09, so 11 years he's been a real estate agent. I got my license in 2017, so I've only been doing it for about 3 years now. And just real quick, my story is Adam knew that I wanted to get into real estate investing. I'd been saving up some money. I was not a real estate agent at the time, so I really didn't know the market. I was relying on him. And one day he called me about a property that I think had dropped in price. He had already been watching it for a while now, and he felt it was such a great deal. He called and said, hey, let's do this together, let's partner up, and let's get it done. And that's exactly what we did. From what I remember, we bought the house for $127,000. I think we put about $4,100 worth of money into it, and all it needed was repaint. I don't think we had to patch a wall. I don't remember that. I know we had to repaint some rooms. We went ahead and replaced the flooring, the flooring in 2 of the bedrooms. And I remember that after we got it rented, right before our renters moved in, we had a leak. But the renter said, "Hey guys, I know you guys changed the flooring in the bedrooms. I'd like to get the flooring changed in the living room. I'm willing to pay half." Remember that?
Yeah. We were like, do it.
Yeah, so we did it. Our tenant agreed. We signed a written agreement that he was pretty much saying, hey, he was doing that on his own free will. Didn't expect any repayment. So we had him sign that. And we got the flooring inside the living room replaced at technically half the expense because our tenant paid the other half. That tenant's been there ever since. So we paid the $127 plus $4,100. That is $131.5. The house is now worth, I believe it's probably in the 180s. I think it's about the 180s. So, and that was just 3 years ago. I think we closed on it November 2017. So it hasn't even been quite 3 years yet. No, I take that back. It was 2016, November of 2016. So we're coming up on 4 years now, and it's like you said, at least 185. So we've increased it by $50,000 in equity since then. It's been rented out ever since. Adam wanted to get another deal, so I bought him out of that house. So now I own that 100%, and he was able to use that money to invest in another house.
It was a bad investment. It was a wedding ring. It was a depreciation.
Hey, you better be careful, because I think somebody may be watching.
Pineapple, don't tell your mom, Pineapple.
No, but anyhow, it's interesting how you can get started. It's just interesting to know that there's so many options out there, whether it's teaming up with somebody, whether it's using your VA benefits, whether it's maybe looking for a USDA loan where, of course, the property has to qualify for that. So there's just so many things that you can do to get started. And if you decide that you want to go ahead and live in it first and gain some capital gains by buying a foreclosed home where you have instant equity, getting it repaired, putting a little bit of that sweat equity is what I call, and then eventually down the road selling it, take that money, use that to invest somewhere else. There's just so many things that you can do. You can live in it with as little as, I think at first-time home buyers programs, I've seen as little as 3% down. Also, you can go conventional with 5% down. USDA 0. There's just the Hope program. Yeah, there's so many things that you can do to get started.
And another advantage for that moving into the house is, like you mentioned earlier, it's up to $250,000 per person
for single. Yeah.
It's tax free. So if it's your first investment and you're kind of scared, you live in it, the most amount of equity you're going to pick up is at the time of purchase. So as you constantly hear me and Ruben saying on these foreclosures, we were able, whether they were like this recent one, I'm going into it $120,000 in the equity because it sat on the market so long. Mm-hmm. Now, if you go in, and that's not normal. I mean, I just got lucky. Typical, I would say anywhere from $15,000 to $35,000 is normal. But even then, that's $35,000 you pick up at time of purchase. San Antonio growing the way it is, with Austin being less than from where we are, 30 minutes away.
Right.
You've got Tesla moving there. You've got IKEA just moved down the road. You've got these values of these properties. 10 years ago, the property values in San Antonio on average was $150,000. Now they're $275,000 10 years later. So every year, I think my property that I'm selling right now just appreciated from last year was at $238, and this year they appreciated at $260. I'm fighting it, of course, but so you've got that in turn. So now, when you buy it, as far as and living in it, like I said, say you pick up $40,000 right away, $30,000, just be conservative, $30,000 right away at the time of purchase, and then you live in it 2-3 years, it appreciates $10,000 every year. Now you're sitting on $60,000 when you sell it, and that's tax free. You claim it under that part where it's tax free. Now all that $60,000 you can pay off all your debt, and if you have $30,000 left over, you can put that towards the next house, or it opens at that point. You understand the game a little bit, and you have a lot more options on it.
Right. So hey folks, so that's so important. Adam just used the term lucky, but here's the thing. I know he says, I was just lucky, but this is just kind of my opinion. When you're prepared, when preparedness meets opportunity, that's what people consider lucky. But if you are intentional about your spending, you're intentional about your financial responsibilities, when that opportunity arises and you take advantage of that situation, then that's a great opportunity, or quote unquote, like Adam said, I got lucky of acquiring that next property. So are there any questions out there? Anybody have any questions? and how to get started. If not, if you do, leave it in the comments. We don't answer it now. We'll definitely answer it later on the comment section. Also, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's at Ruben Galindo, brokered by San Antonio's Finest Realty. I have a YouTube channel. We talk about real estate. I've interviewed a couple real estate investors. I try to give some tips on just real estate investing or anything that has to do with real estate. So,
yeah, because another thing we do, and I know none of you have done it, but we there's a lot of real estate networking sites that we have groups where we can talk to other realtors in other states. So these foreclosures we buy, a lot of the websites y'all know about, you've mentioned a couple on your websites and stuff. Those are in all 50 states. So if you have questions like that, where I have a buddy of mine, military, just moved to Washington D.C. and he ended up buying a foreclosure down there. And what I did is I called ahead of time and pretty much interviewed a good agent, because as just a regular civilian or person in the market, you don't know what to ask, or if they're not lying to you, but I mean making themselves out to be an expert when they're not. For us, it's easy to know. I mean, we can tell by asking them a few questions. If they don't answer them correctly, we know that it's just a lot of hot air.
Right.
So definitely, even if you're not in Texas and you have questions and you want to buy in a certain state or whatever, just send Ruben an email and we can help out with that.
Yeah, go ahead and if you have any questions, you were trying to get a hold of Adam, try to get a hold of me, leave a message on the comments. We'll definitely reach out to you. It's there's so many ways that you can get started, so don't feel like you have no option. Explore your options, but at the end of the day, it all depends what your personal goals are. Whatever your goals are is it's going to be what dictates your path. So again, thank you guys for listening. I hope you got something out of that. Leave us a comment. Please please share with anybody who is wanting to learn about real estate investing. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share that as well. And we'll be talking to you soon. Adam, thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.